Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to GameON. On a special week, of course, after the long wait for the start of the 24-25 season to start, and what a way for it to begin with the MTN 8 and the way it got underway in the weekend last. And while we'll be talking about that with our legends here this week, including, of course, a special guest in the TS Galaxy president, Tim Sugasi, joining us later on in the show. So stay with us. For now, hi to Jerry as well as Shane. Gents, let's talk what's been happening as far as the coaching merry-go-round in the off-season here. Vusumuzi Vilakazi plays a big part, of course, in Richards Bay surviving the playoffs at the end of the season and signed a new contract. Things are looking smooth at that point, Jaran. And now the news with Tiba Hlugen. Talk to me about that.
Yes, I think for me it's disturbing a lot, honestly speaking, because we're looking forward to watching the Premiership starting. And now all the news are based on the boardroom and clubs changing of coaches. You started with Sundowns. The coach that won trophies said to move out. Mm-hmm. We went to, now it's like a Richards Bay. Before it was Marumo Kalland, you know, Cape being there without even having a single game. Now he's left. So now it's Trutter back at Richards Bay. The way I see it, the way it's being said on the news. But I don't know. You can't have somebody who left your club before, like Tentens, Malisela left Marumo Kalland. He went somewhere, he's back. Trutter left Richards Bay. He went somewhere, he's back again. I don't know what's happening with our South African football. It's
a special case with Richards Bay in that there's the big news, a new sponsorship coming in for 100 million rand, according to reports, Parkway Gas, and their CEO coming in and saying, look, we want to do things professionally. We want to, of course, drive the club in the right direction and have an influence in things such as coaching, according to reports, which then leads to renegotiations with Vilakazi and things not basically working out between the club and the coach. What are your thoughts on the entire development here, Shane?
Yeah, you know, you got to look at it, and you got to look at it from the outside and say, so you put in money in, put in a big sponsorship in, so now you got the say of who the coach is going to be. Is that the right way to go in football?
Is it?
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, you know, yeah, you can put your money in, but if it's not working out, then you bring it up and say, well, guys, listen, we're spending the money, we're not getting results. Until then, I don't think you should have the say in saying, I don't want this coach, I want that coach. You're not the technical directors. You are basically just the sponsor. So for them to have the say, for me, is wrong. It's wrong completely. That would never happen anywhere else in the world. It wouldn't happen. Can you imagine Man City saying, okay, we got 300 million pounds now, Pep Guardiola is not good enough. You know, it's like things like that. Vilakazi, yeah, he saved them. He did well. They offer him a contract, and then all of a sudden they backtracked on it. It's not right. It's not right in football.
Well, but I think maybe just to add on that, is what Shane is saying, we need to compare our football with overseas football. Most of the clubs in South Africa, it's only one person that deals with everything, the owner.
The owner, yes.
You know, he makes decisions because maybe a friend from the side coming to talk to him about people who don't even understand football. So that's where it's having a problem. Because you can't say you've got a board of governors in South African clubs. Only one person is overruling everything in the club. And that's the reason why we as South Africans, we're not going to go anywhere, because we really need people that are committed.
Yeah, but that's most clubs, Jerry. Not every club is like that in South Africa,
Yeah, that's true. Now, we have to keep things moving along here. For Kaizer Chiefs, their fans, of course, have been waiting for that marquee signing. The news coming in is that the former Sundowns man, Gaston Sireno, is now joining Kaizer Chiefs. Is that the marquee signing, Shane, that Chiefs fans have been hoping for? And is he the man to maybe help steer them in the right direction? It's not the first that we've seen a former Sundowns great or a player coming through to Kaizer Chiefs over the last few years. Is it more of the same?
Let's have a look at history.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Billiards.
That player has gone there. Billiards. The rest of them, there's been...
Castro.
Exactly. So now all of a sudden, this is going to be a marquee signing. I'm not too sure. Is it going to be the same thing? Look at Dolly, what happened there. He was supposed to be the marquee signing. Where did that go? Are they signing players that are past their best? That's the question that you've got to ask.
Yes.
For me, I'm on the fence on this one. I must be very honest with you. I'm really on the fence. The goalkeeper I thought was a decent signing. Dortley is a very good signing. For me, he's a young defender. He's gained upward trend. That for me is decent signings. That for me should be the marquee signing, I would say. But Sereno, I'm not 100% sure of. We don't know where he is. We don't know with injuries. Why didn't he play at Sundowns? Why hasn't he been involved? We don't know these questions. Has it been injuries? Has it been because he's been out of favour? Has it been because of his attitude? That type of thing. So you got to look at it and say, I'll be on the fence for this one. I wish them well, and I hope that he does well for them. But the history behind it and the history in the past, not for me.
Now, the goalkeeping department has been a huge talking point. Kune's future and so on, and those, of course, sitting waiting behind Kune, or that have been in the front lines in Kune's absence over the last season, haven't necessarily won over the fans. Ntwari, the man from Rwanda, 24 years of age, coming from TS Galaxy, your thoughts on him?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen him that much. And also, to Shane, I don't think he's, for me, somebody that you can take to Chiefs, because most of the players that goes to Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, they at least should have contributed and been known in the league. So we're saying he's from TS Galaxy. But for me, he's never made any big mark for him to be signed to Chiefs. So I don't know, maybe he's going to make the difference, but the pressure will be on him.
Just on that, Jerry, if you looked at the Galaxy team, he has saved them a lot this season, the previous season. So he has done well for them. He's got to take that and he's got to build on that when he goes to Chiefs. I understand what you're saying, that he's not a big name, but he's got to build on it. You can't sign big names all the time.
Yeah.
You've got to take Dortley. He's not a big name, but he's going to be a very good player. I think, that's why I say to me, that's a very good signing. The keeper can improve. That's the department they lack in. So he will improve it. So let's just hope it comes to
But goalkeeping goes also with the defense. So for me, the marquee signing, if it goes well, Grant Kekana.
For you?
Grant Kekana for me.
If it goes well.
Marquee signing.
Well, we'll keep our eye on that situation and see how it pans out. Of course, there's still so much to talk about in this week's edition of Game On, including, of course, the MTN8. And we get into it with the gentleman on the other side of this.
Check these guys. Let's show them how it's really done. I see it. Let's have a
your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Your feet like this.
Welcome back to Game On. Now, as we promised, it's time to talk about the start to the season. And what it started was, let's start off at the Orlando Stadium. We all knew we're in for a big game once we knew it was Orlando Pirates hosting SuperSport United, former champions, and pedigree both ways here. And great start in the way of the fans turning out, full house, and the entertainment value in what we saw, plus a bit of drama here and there. Shane, your breakdown.
You remember, it's also competition, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I would like to hear Jerry's comments on certain things in the game.
Yeah. Certainly a lot of talking points.
For me, it was a lot of talking points.
Sure.
For me, it seriously was. SuperSport did very well, considering where they've been and what players got rid of.
And how they started the game as well.
How they started. So I'd like to hear what Jerry's comment is about certain aspects of the game. Penalties not given, red cards not given. I want to hear this young man's comments of those.
And a questionable own goal as well.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, what Paris did well, they did extremely well. Some of the goals they scored and the way they played. But they did well, extremely well. So we're not taking that away from them,
Exactly.
Sharan. But your thoughts on the two possible penalties, the handballs, Maswangani, and the elbow, could have been a red card, maybe should have been a red card since the referee spotted it and they're talking to him, and the questionable goal.
Put you under the
I
pressure.
think both of you are ganging up on
No!
me because Pirates won the game.
What they did well, they did
won
extremely well.
Yes, there might have been those mistakes that are happening. I mean, referee's decision is final. It happens to anybody. Yes, of course, Kevin, I cannot blame him for getting a red card because he was not happy with some of the referee's decisions that were happening there. Yes, those things, they do happen, but it's football. And then the results, that's what matters most. Let's not talk about the elbow, who did that. It's fine. The game is over now. Pirates are in the semis with the 3-1 score. Sorry, Shane, and maybe next time.
And we scored for you guys. That's the other talking point. Selling another goal, that's. No, I'm saying he's making history now. I think he's one of the highest goal scorers in this competition for Pirates. So nothing wrong. I agree with Jerry. Things go your way, things go the other way. If this is the start of the season, I think we're in for lots of fun over the next 9 months, 10 months. I think it's going to be fun.
With the number of goals scored as well.
Oh, great entertainment.
That's
great entertainment all the way through then.
That's how we got goals. Exactly.
So great start to the season. Let's talk now the game that followed that. Richards Bay. There would have been plenty of talk and eyes on Richards Bay following last season. Can they pick up where they left off? And how did you see the way they started this new campaign against Galaxy?
I think is it Stellenbosch?
Stellenbosch, I beg your pardon. So Richards Bay. Stellenbosch. My apologies,
Yes, because I wanted to know where was Richards. I think for me, it was also a good game, but the field and the weather was a cause of not having a great game for me because the pitch was slippery. And it's, I don't know, it was not a good pitch to play in. But yes, Stellenbosch won because of the home advantage, knowing the weather and everything there in Cape Town. It's not conducive for football for now, but that's what happened.
It's difficult, you look at it and they adjusted to the circumstances better. And you know what, I learned early on in my coaching career that we did certain things when we played certain teams. We played Pirates, Chiefs, we narrowed the field, make it harder for them. When we played the smaller teams, we made it bigger. Watered fields when we were playing teams from outside of the province that are not used to that. So little things like that, you've got to adjust. You're a professional team, it doesn't matter what field you play on, you've got to adjust to those playing conditions. The field, was bad because of the weather, because of what's been happening. You can't blame Stellenbosch for that. But you've got to adjust to that. You know you're going on the field, you know what's going to happen. Going off the field, going on within Galaxy and what's happening, can't play players, this, that also plays a major effect. The coach was going, now he's there. Did he have enough time to work with the players? We tend to forget all these things. Stellenbosch are going to be there, they're going to be keeping their players, they are looking, push for the title this season. We'll see what happens. I think it's a good start from them. They can only grow and get better.
So now let's talk about what's coming up and what's to look forward to as far as the MTN8. Sekhukhune United against a side, for me, that's easily slept on in South African football and that have been there, done it before. Cape Town City. Thierry.
Not much about that, but let's see what's going to happen. Because for me, I can stand on the fence and say maybe whoever's going to win that game is going to be in penalties. I don't fancy any team between the two teams. It's going to be a tight game.
I think it'll be very tight. Both teams started the season. Both teams have had their problems. They've had their off the field problems. It's going to be a tight game. I agree with Jerry. I think it'll go to the wire. This will be probably a penalty shootout.
That said, Polokwane City, of course, surprised all of us, coming back into the top flight and finishing within the top 8. We take our hats off to them for a great season last. Against Sundowns. Are Sundowns the favourites coming into this tournament? Is the first question I should ask all of you. And should we worry too much about pre-season in trying to judge Sundowns going into this tournament? Shane?
I can't believe you're even asking that question. Are they favourites? They have to be favourites.
Okay.
Polokwane, you've got to take what they did last year and bring it again this year and do it again.
When I say favourites, I mean favourites for the tournament.
Well, they are favourites for the tournament.
Good. Okay.
They always are going to be. We know exactly where they are. We know exactly what Sundowns do. It doesn't matter if you move the coach. You got those players, and they brought in more players. They're going to be the favourites. We know what you expect from them, and you know what's going to happen. They brought a youngster into the team that's brilliant at the back. I like him. But end of the day, Polokwane have got to build on what they did last year. It's always harder the second year and to better that. That's the problem. Are they going to be able to do that? They're going to be losing players. It's going to be a question mark. I personally think that they're going to be battling the park come the end of the season.
It's going to be a closely contested game. Yes, Sundowns have got the upper hand, but for me also, I think Polokwane is going to bring something like a surprise.
So there could be an upset here?
It could be an upset.
Well, there you have it. From both Shane McGregor and Jerry Skosana, we might be in for an upset this weekend. So stay with us here on GameON as we have that special interview on the other side of this that we promised you. Welcome back to Game On. Now, as we promised you, the last part of the show, something special, as we are joined by the TS Galaxy president, that being Tim Sugazi. Tim, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for bringing the drum along. I'll tell you why. In pre-season, I see you were getting ready for the new season as you were welcoming Augsburg onto the field, and that you made some signings. You got some backup in the drumming department. Tell us more about that, because you weren't the only one playing the drum against Augsburg.
Yeah, man. Mr. Mapena, I won't believe it.
Yeah, well.
The guy who had accompanied me at the time, call him my acquaintance,
Yeah, well.
is the FC Augsburg CEO.
Okay.
So he's the decision maker at Augsburg. It was through him that we were able to bring the club here to South Africa. And then, that tells you, that our culture, what we do, our unique approach is pretty much embraced and loved by the world, more especially the German Bundesliga.
Yeah, we certainly enjoyed seeing the addition in that regard and that walk on. Now, let's firstly congratulate you for making the top 8 from last season. And the top 8, of course, got underway last weekend. Not the result you were looking for against Stellis. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, look, I had said, I think I'm on record to say that, despite the win against FC Augsburg, the game against Stellis will be a completely different proposition. And I based that on the field. I said the field in Cape Town, the Stellenbosch pitch is a mess. It's horrible to play at. And I said it's small, it's bumpy. Little did I know that we'll find even a worse, pitch on the day. It was horrible. I was deeply disappointed when I read the match commissioner's report, Mr. Ibrahim, where he reports on everything and he concludes by saying that the field was playable. Playable by who? Amateurs, over 45s, or professional footballers? We have to respect ourselves. Yeah. We work very hard as football, to bring up our brand. But if we would have commissioners who see a pitch like that, brown, brown as in the mud, not even the color of the grass, and declares it playable, But then the two clubs had no choice there to comply. Yeah. Yes, it was the same pitch for both teams, but you'd appreciate the fact that Stellis, obviously, it's their home ground. Probably they're a lot more used to the conditions. It was always going to be to our disadvantage, more especially coming from Bombela, where our pitch is in pristine condition.
Where there's
you saw how we played against the German Bundesliga club. So, man, we had to do what we had to do on the day. We tried our best and we lost. It is what it is.
Now, over the last few seasons, you've had to let go of key players to bigger clubs, but have also been very impressive with some of the younger players that you brought into the squad, which obviously complements your scouting, and you did extremely well last season. But let's talk about the difficulties of holding on to your players and still being able to compete if you're not able to hold on to the players in the fashion you did last season.
Yeah, look, it's not the easiest thing, obviously, to hold on into our best talent. The reason being that we are a club that has proven ability of improving players. Mind you, all the players that were sold to big teams are players that were there at TS Galaxy, prior to Coach Sriat Ramovic coming on board. And I would attribute this success to him and his technical team, obviously. So, but then when big teams come for these players, at best, I think they put offers that you cannot refuse, and also you look at the interest of the players. They stand to earn the most. Probably the most they could earn in their careers. As a club that we are, we always obviously consider and apply the human spirit into our decision making in these kind of circumstances, and we let the players go. But then the difficulty is to replace them. It's not easy. It's not the easiest thing to replace a professional football player. They're not just walking around the streets, such that you just find them any day, any time. No, you have to find players of a certain standard, given the high standard of our league. But then we have, again, been able to infuse our youth brigade into our main team. Risky as it is, the youngsters with them, the graph is always like this. It's not constant. It changes depending on matches. It takes time for them to adapt. It's a risk that sometimes you are left with no choice but to take. I think our young stars have come up well. If coming to mind the likes of Mike Sebelebele, that's come off. Yes, also to Ditejane, Samuel Okawini, Macbeth Mahlangu at the back, and now Libone Siema. So these youngsters, all of them, they're 22 and below. And they seem to be having the ability to carry the team, but still they would need one or two quite experienced players. I'm sure we're not done in the market. We're still gonna go into the market because the season is long. And but you don't want the transfer window to close, and then you are into the season, then you don't have a good replacement.
I'm glad you mentioned going into the market,
Yes.
because there'll be some that'll still be wondering, what is the situation with regards to Galaxy and the ban, the transfer ban? If you could just update those
Yes.
that may not be in the know.
Absolutely. Look, it is as simple as this. The ban is due to be lifted or has been lifted as I'm sitting here. I haven't gotten the notification. But then, it's one of those unfortunate situations where Quand, as I had explained in various platforms, the player never played for us, never kicked the ball. It is what it is. Sometimes you burn your fingers in these type of things. And we're not the only club. I think all clubs or most of the clubs in our league table have experienced such. So it was our turn. We learn as we go, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. That's good news, especially for your fans, to hear that. I'm sure they'll be glad and looking forward to the additions you'll be making. Now, last season, you finished in the top 8. You started this season in the MTN 8. You're talking about building on a very talented young squad that you've got. What are your ambitions for the upcoming season?
At TS Galaxy, we had always set ourselves a goal of being better than we were the previous season. So we always measure ourselves against our performance in the last season. As you would know, 3 seasons ago, I think we finished 13th, and then the season thereafter 10th, last season 6th. So it means this season we have to attain a higher position. If that takes us into the top 4, top 3 CAF competition, so be it. That's what we are thriving for. We also got into the final of the Carling Cup, as you would recall. So it means that this time around, if you are lucky to win one, being the top 3, it will be yet another milestone for us. We're looking at that, nothing less. At the worst, we have to at least maintain the same position as we did.
I have to ask you one last question. You've got young players that are winning over the hearts of many South African fans. You as a club, of course, are making your presence felt over the last few years. And you've got a coach, Siad Ramovich, who's also amongst the most talked about coaches in the country over the last year. It looked as though you were losing him for a moment, Raja. What exactly happened there? And did it disrupt your preseason at all?
It didn't. Why? Because our engagements with Siad on the Raja matter had started maybe 6 weeks prior to the news breaking out. So it means that we have been on it. We came up with a plan. We prepared ourselves. We were very ready to a point where we had found a replacement coach, who has been given all the information. He had all the data. He knows our players by name and surname, how we play, the formation, anything and everything. He was with us during the periodization, getting information and feeds and footages on a daily basis. So, he had been with us. I always work in advance, or we as a club rather than myself. So he was ready to hop into the plane and come. So he was gonna continue on the same level of periodization, methodology, approach. We, as TS Galaxy, I think we are one of the few clubs in the country who have put a signature on being a ball-playing club. Our approach and philosophy is possession-based. If you can't coach that or train that as a coach, obviously this is not a club for you. So it's the guy who was going to continue exactly from where Coach Siad Ramovich would have left it off.
Well, Tim Sugazi, thank you so much for your time. We are thankful for your presence and the value you add on to South African football. Good luck for the upcoming season, bro.
Ngiyathokoza Mbutuma, ngithokoza wena-ke nabantu bekhethu bonke abasicalileko, ngiphinze ngibonge nani benkosi, sinenibongwane labahle, asichubekeni itocala-ke le season yalo, silungile siredi nitibonele nani amagame lesiwadlalile, asihambeni sonke sifike lapha ngomnyenti eMbombela Stadium, siyadumuza.
Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. Then a fun ending to the show it is. Thank you very much to Team Sugazi, not forgetting Jace Kosana and Shane McGregor, as well as you at home. Now, before we go, something a little special for you, and just ending off the show. As you know, Hollywoodbets does go a little bit extra in giving back to the community and finding legends of the game to work with. They lately have been involved with the Siyabonga Sangweni Youth Festival. Let's find out more about that. And until next week, it's click, click, bang.
Former Orlando Pirates and Bafana Bafana defender Siyabonga Sangweni was one of the best PSL defenders of his generation. Since retirement, Nsimbi has been active with youth development through the Siyabonga Sangweni Foundation. At the end of June, the foundation hosted its annual Siyabonga Sangweni Youth Month Festival in Nsimbi's home village of Dondota, near Empangeni in KZN. Youngsters from the village and surrounding communities competed in a 3-day tournament, fittingly in the Siyabonga Sangweni Sports Complex.
Bekusifisa sami esikhulu ukuthi one day kube ne-facility efana nale. Kodwa-ke umkhandlu or i-province wangisurprise ukuthi le ground le ngoba ngayilicela bazongisponsorisha lona bazokugaba ngegama lami.
Recognizing the impact this tournament will have on the local youth, Hollywoodbets joined forces with Sangweni by becoming one of the sponsors of the festival.
Siyabonga Sangweni has defied the odds, coming from the dusty streets of Dondota, but Sangweni made it. So he has given hope to so many children who come from a poor, disadvantaged background. So that's why we said we cannot afford to miss this opportunity of partnering with Siyabonga Sangweni.
Sangweni lending his name to the festival brings scouts into these areas, giving local youngsters hope that they can aspire to greater heights in football, an opportunity most of them may never otherwise have.
Kusho ukukhulu mfethu, kusho ukukhulu kukancane lokho okwenzakalayo njengoba ngishilo plus ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya.
We are watching good football, and there are some players that I've noticed, and I wish I could have in my team for the coming season.
For me personally, I think it's a good thing that they're showing interest in some of the guys in the rural areas.
Sibonge nakubhuti Siyabonga Sangweni ukuthi since bekadlala esigabeni esikhulu naye akazange ayikhohle indawo yangakubo nokuthi ethuthukise intsha yangakubo ezemidlalo.
The two teams that made the finals were FIFA FC and Sangweni United, the team coached by Nsimbi himself. In the end, and perhaps fittingly, Sangweni United emerged victorious, putting the cherry on top of a very successful tournament hosted by the Siyabonga Sangweni Foundation.
I'm very happy and very proud of the guys. Without them, we weren't going to achieve this. I think the unity made it possible for us. The ground in Elisha elivuliwe labizwa ngoSiyabonga Sangweni complex. Yathathwa iSangweni United.